Ben, boy, or Ben lying, because Jesus Christ. I mean, I Ben, to me, the minute he came on the screen, just looked like an abused puppy. He needs to be rescued. Somebody rescue this man.
It's like Maya without the attitude. So I thought it was telling that Ben said that he is scared of Morgan.
Yes.
And that when she comes at him, it reminds him of his dad and all that gets his head. I'm just like, dude, you need, and I'm glad he's getting therapy because, like, what women want to do like that?
Yeah.
And we've always said that Morgan is this strong personality, but my issue with today's episode, I'm done with Morgan.
Oh, yeah.
Because Morgan is still a mess, and Ben has apologized enough. There's no apology or way that he could apologize. He can resurrect Luther Vandross from the dead and have him sing to Morgan, and she's still going to be mad.
Well, first thing, Morgan's gonna be like, who the hell is this guy with the Jerry curl? Because I'm sure she has no idea who Luther is. Who's
Luther
this?
comes, excuse me, miss, what's your name?
But you're right. I mean, because what genuine apology does Morgan want and need, right?
Emotional apology. Do you need Ben to cry?
It's crazy.
Nothing would matter.
Her saying, you say you're sorry and you feel guilty, but I didn't feel like you feel guilty. Girl, shut the front door, the back door, and the side door. What the hell are you talking about? I mean, seriously, it makes no sense. And to me, here's the thing. Ben is going to therapy, and thankfully it's not with Dr. Pia, because Dr. Pia left him hung out there to dry. She did not hold Morgan accountable, because I think, to be quite honest, Stasha held Morgan more accountable when she was like, yeah, but you're so defensive right now that do you even, what happens if he does apologize? He can give you a sincere apology, that genuine apology you want. You're not going to receive it, are you?
No, and you're so butthurt over this little thing that he did. I mean, he didn't do anything that's that crazy for her to be this angry and hurt and emotional. But Morgan is just, she's the problem. And I think, honestly, they should just call it quits.
Yeah.
And stop wasting their time, stop wasting each other's time. And I was going to point this out. I've not seen Morgan on any after party.
Yeah.
That tells me a whole lot about where this relationship is going. And I've been on one after party. But Morgan's just annoying. And stop wearing the damn scrubs. We get it. You are a nurse. You've proven it. You can keep wearing the uniform all day long. We get it. You're a nurse. You don't have to keep it. I just got off work from the hospital because I'm a nurse. Oh, hey, guys. Sorry I'm late. I just got off work because I'm a nurse at a hospital. It was very busy.
That's so funny because, so Aaron's so nasty. Aaron's so tasty. My Jesus Christ. I changed the entire thing of her name.
Sure did.
My bad, Erin Nicole. I apologize. I saw the end and moved it somewhere else.
Aaron's so nasty. I mean, Aaron's so tasty. I mean, what?
Hey, I'm a married man.
Which is it?
I'm a married man. I should not know whether Erin is tasty or not, okay?
Well, I'm assuming she's nasty. You're a married man. So Aaron's so nasty. Go ahead.
So Aaron so tasty said, swear, at this point, I don't care. And I'm mad I defended her in the beginning. F your degree, bitch. We all feel you, Aaron. We feel you, because you're right. Just like you said, here she is in the scrubs. Like, I mean, what does Ben have to do? Walk in with his bank account just to make you understand, like, that's not a flex. Okay? It's okay. And stop acting as if what you do is so much more important. Like, and I say that in the sense of like, oh, I'm so tired. We're all tired. I hate when people go, oh, I work so hard. We all work hard. What are you talking about? Unless you're hanging around bums, you're preaching to the choir. Man up, woman up, and move on.
Well, everybody doesn't work hard. Let's just be honest.
Okay,
everybody doesn't.
Yeah. All right, good point.
But
my bad.
You don't have to keep talking about, oh, I'm so tired because I have this job. I'm a nurse. And she keeps saying it and wearing those scrubs, I think, because Ben embarrassed her by calling her out about not being a nurse, thinking that she doesn't have her degree, so she's not a real nurse. And so she just can't let that whole thing go. And I really believe that she's just embarrassed, and that's why she's acting this way. But there's nothing Ben can do that is going to help her feel good or make her feel good. But here's why I hate on the ladies. So when they got together for the girls' deal on the beach, girls need to hold each other accountable.
Yes.
And that's the thing. I really feel like girls don't do that. Women don't hold each other accountable in their bullshit.
They hold a man accountable, though, goddammit.
They will totally hold the dude accountable all day long, but they will not be like, well, Morgan, what was your role in this?
Yes.
Why are you so mad? They're all just, except Stasha.
Stasha was the
one that brought it up. But yet all the other ones aren't saying anything. But also, same goes for the guys. Because the guys are listening to Ben's story, and they're not saying, okay, Ben, but I hear you. But when are you going to nut up and stop being a little Mitch about everything?
And I feel you on that part. Like, they do need to tell them, like, all right, look, dude. But you also can't give that kind of advice to somebody in a relationship. You're like, all right, it's time for you to just man up and tell her, fuck your shit. Let's get this together or walk out. And I don't think they want to kind of do that in this space. But they were right in supporting him in the sense of, like, because Nate dropped the knowledge. Like, and I saw women on Twitter like, oh my.
Okay, so my internet went out. On this, it's been going in and out all day. It's been driving me insane, and I'm using my mobile right now, trying to figure out how to get this cut off so it won't interrupt me. So yeah, I'm gonna put the link down in the description box for these guys that are talking, and I really see that people are doing the same thing that they did last season. But I'm not as mad this season because it just knocked me in I was just knocked out that we were all watching the same thing and people were coming away with these different, perspectives. So they're still trying to be sympathetic to Ben. After Ben judged his wife, and instead of asking her, okay, wait a minute, I don't understand. What's the difference between you being a nurse and your BSN? I thought that in order for you to be a nurse, you had to have your BSN. And then she would have explained to him about an ADN. It's a registered nurse's license. You still take the NCLEX, just like a Bachelor of Nursing. It's just a different category. And like what Morgan is saying, she's able in her system to actually make more money if she goes and just gets the extra letters, behind her name. And that was really easy for Ben to find out. And instead of him doing that, he got mad and resentful, cooking some stuff up in his mind that she didn't tell either the experts the truth or somebody the truth, but she was telling him the truth. So whether she told the experts the truth or not, she was telling him the truth. So he wasn't able to take that, and he went back to Justin, told their business, then came back and told her that he told the business, knowing that the woman had told him that he needs to really think about his words, and if that ends up being a problem, it's going to be a problem because she takes it a certain kind of way. All of that. They go through all of that. Then this joker turns around and does the same thing again. So to me, I can't even, I'm not a Morgan fan. But in this instance, I get it. He is going to continue to do this because he knows all of the stuff that it took for him to even get back to a point where she was wanting to have dinner with him. She, is still in an apartment with him at that time. And he just took it all and just blew it up. Trusting Justin. And whatever Alexis heard, she heard something that she felt was not true. And she made sure that Morgan understood that there was something going on about the communication that she was hearing with Ben and Justin. So Morgan gets the information. Y'all saw it, had to fight, all of that. Ben actually admits that he stabbed his wife in the back, that he's afraid of her, that he doesn't appreciate her tone when, he feels like she could do a better tone. He wants her to communicate to him in the same hushed, quiet tones that he speaks to her in. That's not who she is. And then he says that the way that she is reminds him of his dad. But that he hasn't been able to communicate that to her. He hasn't called the experts to communicate that to her. He hasn't invited her to go to therapy so he can communicate stuff to her. So I don't feel the same level of sympathy for Ben that everybody else seems, to. And then there's this Christian couple on here. Keep God first. But you're accepting a liar. This joker hadn't been married to this woman 6 weeks, I don't think, yet. And he's already done 2 major things that she asked him not to do. And he did it knowing that she asked him not to do it. Passive aggressive. And then he'll come back and say, well, it's my fault, guys. I need to take responsibility, for it. And then Mitch is like, well, Ben is just taking on too much blame. It's not all his fault. And it's not all his fault. Morgan, she could have, done some things differently. Like when she got mad and found out that he was still talking to Justin, she should have talked to him about that. She could have went and got the experts and brought them together and talked about it. If she didn't feel comfortable, bringing it up. So there's not a lot of balance, happening here. And then with that section, the guys are saying that, oh, well, the women don't hold each other, to account. Well, Stasha did. Stasha was like, well, you mad. I mean, even if he gives you an apology, are you really going to be able to hear and accept it? And what I heard Morgan saying in the apology, she wants to know that he gets it. She wants to see some emotion as well as the action. So like Ben, when he did it the first time, at the honeymoon, and he had to do all this cleanup. Yeah, well, it was my fault and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't like, she says that she doesn't feel, she feels like there's a disconnect with him. And I can understand what she's saying. She wants him to be like, baby, please, baby, please, baby, please. She want to hear that. And Ben don't have that in him. He was mad at her. He judged her. And she was mad at him that he would judge her instead of just coming to her and, talking. So it's just a mess. It really, is a mess. And so they were, laughing at her because she had the scrubs on. They were like, oh, well, let's get rid of the scrubs. We know you're a nurse. Blah, blah, blah. She's not living at the apartment with Ben. So when Dr. Pia wanted to schedule, a time with them, she said that she had just gotten off work. So she came during the time that they had scheduled with the therapist. Then I'm sure she went home, took off her scrubs, and went about, the rest of her day. So I think it's really careless the way that a lot of people are approaching this. And it was one of the reasons why I decided to try and, review these shows. Side note, please be patient with me. I went to a conference last week. So that's why I wasn't here. And then this weekend, I got a cold. So I caught a cold from the conference. I'm not sure if it's COVID yet. I have to wait. And I'm going to do the test, I think, on Friday again to see if it's COVID. But as of right now, I'm treating it as a cold. And it's mild. I've been taking, oil of oregano, zinc. I got vitamin D. I got, the elderberry juice. And it's really been keeping me buoyant. I haven't, I felt like a cold is coming, but it hasn't been so bad that I haven't been able to tolerate it, which is nice. So thank you for letting me say that. And now back to Morgan and Ben. So yeah, it's just people not really paying attention. They did the same thing to Jasmina, like I said last season, and that was crazy. Everybody's like, well, yeah, he lied to you, but you should just forgive him. I mean, I think it's just really interesting how you're willing to tell somebody else what they should be willing to put up with. When if the situation were reversed, how would you feel about that situation? And you had just met this joker 5 minutes ago. So that's interesting. An interesting outlook. And like I said, I just kind of wanted to bring that, to you guys. So we're doing 11 and 12, today. So with 11, it was Dr. Pepper who came and visited. And with 12, it was Dr. Pia. And I actually thought that Dr. Pepper did really well with some of the couples, like especially with Stacia and Nate. She was like to Stacia, girl, you're not married to yourself. And Stacia accepted that. And with Dr. Pia, she gave Nate and Stacia some, I think they did the blindfold exercise. And Nate had Stacia tied up and she had to relinquish control. And so they did various couples, exercises to bring them, like closer together. When I saw Stacia on the after show, she seemed like it went really well. She thought she even shared extra information that I am not going to talk about because I'm not a person who's big on like toe and mouth connections coming together. I can't. It's just too much stuff under our toenails. I mean, I don't care how good you wash your feet. They're not going inside of my mouth. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it to you, and you're not going to do it to me. So they gave us bonus footage that I couldn't even watch because I can't get down with that. But yeah, so Stacia and in episode 11, this was when they were going back to their childhoods and they were writing letters, to their younger selves. So with Nate and Stacia, what was it? Nate took her to his dad's house, and she asked his dad, well, wow, what was it like, raising two kids, by yourself? And he was like, it was what I needed to do. It wasn't a chore because these are my kids and I'm going to make sure that they, that I take care of them. So she teared up and she didn't have tissues with her. And she ended up wiping her eyes on Nate's shirt. I thought that was interesting. Really. I thought that. I've never seen that, before. And I can't necessarily remember their letters to their younger self. And I remember that Nate went with Stacia to her, Stacia emancipated herself. Her mom and her stepdad wanted to move to another place. So she didn't want to go with them because she still had her last year of senior. She was a senior in high school. So her teammate offered her house, and her parents agreed and brought Stacia, into their home so that she could finish out, her senior year. And that's when Stacia got a chance to see the kind of stability she said that she'd not seen, in her mom's, relationship. If y'all can hear this cat, I actually apologize. He don't do this until I get ready to do a video. He'll do it on my other one, too. So yeah, please excuse, him. And so he done threw me off my Stacia and Nate thing. So with Dr. Pia, again, Nate was saying something. He was saying something to Dr. Pia about he said that he wanted Stacia to deal with her trust issues. Yeah. And so Stasha said that she felt like they were overcoming, their obstacles. And Nate, oh, this is the thing. This is after show. Okay, hold up. So, yep. So I said the assignment, that she gave, the cabin tied up. Oh, Nate got the whipped cream out again, child. And then he got his head under the cover. Oh my goodness, he is just so extra for me. But one of the things that Stasha did say on the after show is that when they were doing all this, the production was like, okay, is it time for us to go? And she was like, they were comfortable, with the toe sucking and all that. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. Yeah. And when Dr. Pepper talked to them, the other thing that I have written down is that she encouraged them to do active listening, and that we found out that they consummated their marriage. So, oh, I don't know. I guess I'll go ahead now with Nate. I think that he's judgmental. Like, he's really judgmental with the Lexus, and Morgan, And he was like this before he even found out that Ben was the one that was doing the damage, to the relationship. And then even afterwards, he still, talk about Morgan this and Morgan that, and Alexis this and Alexis that. So I thought that was, really interesting. And he says that he doesn't think that Alexis is down with Justin, that she's, checked out, and that he agrees with Justin that she shouldn't be going to the club all the time. And I don't understand this all the time. I heard her say she goes one day a week. That's not all the time. And then when she was, having a conversation with Justin about it in another, scene, because he keeps crying about this. And she's like, well, you don't understand my level of compromise, because I can go to the club every day. Well, not necessarily the club, but she go out. She go out every day. And the fact that she's only going once, that is her compromise. And he just doesn't want to get that. And she feels like he's being manipulative, because when they did their vows, he was like, oh, well, I'm going to let you be you, and, your freedom, and this, that, and the third. And she said, well, now that this is a challenge, to what you said, you're not taking this very well. And she said that she invited him out, to go with her and her friends, and he didn't like it. So my thing to Justin, you either come up with some fun for her to do, or you leave her alone about the fun that she ends up finding for herself. This woman has told you she wants to go out and have fun. So instead of you wanting to sit down at home, all the time, she doesn't want to do that. That's incompatible. You're going to have to compromise with her. So at least 2 times a month, you're going to have to figure out, so 2 weekends, you're going to have to figure out something to do. And then if you want to chill and sit at home and watch basketball game or whatever it is, that you do, then when she gets ready to get up, go somewhere, you can't have anything, to say about it. Because you can either get up and go with her, or she's going to get up and go by herself. But she's not staying in the house with you. And if that's a problem, then it's ridiculous. Because, I think after she worked all week and she's with you all week, she can have a day. She can have a day. Like you go and have Sunday or whatever that you want to go and play basketball, for a couple of hours. She gets to go out for a couple of hours on Saturday if she wants to. Or vice versa. You go out on Sunday, she go out on, you go out on Saturday and she go out on Sunday. But she gets to have a day to do something because she works hard all week. And I don't see that as being like a deal breaker. A lot of other people, oh, she can't go to the club all the time, blah, 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 blah. Why she want to go to the club? And I didn't hear her say that it was always the club. That was Justin that kept saying it was always the club. And he's pushing her away. because he keeps harping on a situation that she's not going to alter, especially if you don't have anything better to offer her. So, like I said, and the crying is a turn off. The whole dog thing was a turn off. You know, the non-communication is a turn off. The passive aggressive. So when Dr. Pia, and I put these clips down there so that as I'm talking about this kind of stuff, hopefully it'll jar your memory and it kind of give you a perspective of how I'm seeing it. So I'm hoping to that these two things can give a better perspective that I don't think I'm hearing, on other reviews. So when she said something that was hurtful, to him, and I understand why it was hurtful, to him, but she was asked that question, and that's the answer that she gave. So nobody asked Justin, well, Justin, do you feel like taking your ring off? This joker just pulled that joker off and set it on the table. And that's inappropriate because that's like tit for tat. So that's a passive aggressive move. If she said something that hurt your feelings, then you're going to have to verbalize, wow, that hurt my feelings. And y'all can go from there. But him taking off his ring, that's not going to solve anything. That's just going, this is going to keep bad energy going. And you don't want this. You either want to keep the marriage or you don't. And doing things like passive aggressive behaviors are not going to help you keep this marriage. So he and Ben are really more alike. And it's really, sad to see this level of immaturity. I knew that I wasn't ready to get married. I knew I wasn't ready to have kids. So by the time I even got around to even thinking about it, I was just in a different place, and it just never happened. And I'm okay. I'm not crying about it, but I'm just saying, looking at him and Ben, Justin's brother was right. He wasn't ready to be married, and I understand why Alexis turned down her engagements, and I don't think she was ready to be married. Neither Ben nor Morgan was ready to be married. So I can understand why these wouldn't, make it. So we're supposed to see Devon Franklin on I think the next episode, and he said that he encouraged us back then when we found out that he was going to be on the show. He said that we need to watch because there was one couple that was on the brink, and he was able, to kind of help them reacclimate their way of thinking and come back, from this, stressed situation, that they were in, where he was counseling them. So I'd be interested, to kind of see which one I think that the couple is going to be. And I invite you guys to put it in the comments, who you think it is. Okay, so anything else with Stasha and Nate? Oh, I remember that Nate said that when his dad was talking to Stasha, answering her question, and he got choked up, he said he'd never seen that kind of, emotion, from his dad. So I thought that was interesting. And on the after show, I think Rudy asked him, I can't remember what she asked him. I think it's like, what did he learn? What has he learned about himself? And he was saying that before this whole situation, he felt like he lacked empathy. She asked him about his mother. She said that, does he think that him not having a mother affected his ability to be able to be soft and vulnerable, And he was saying that he thinks that it really kind of caused him to lack empathy, and he used it as a protective mechanism. So if he saw something going on, he shut that down real quick, and he'd be out. But since he's doing this, whole experiment, he can't make moves like that because, now he has a wife. And he said that one of the things that he learned about his wife, during her sharing on episode 11, was that she grew up really quiet and shy. And he feels like she kind of grew out of that, and now she's more vocal and can stand on her own two woman feet. Okay, so we are going to let's go to Lindy and Miguel, because I don't have much for them, and then I can just, move on. Dr. Pepper talked to them, and I think she was asking Lindy what things she felt like she needed to work on, and Lindy said that she needs to be less defensive. So if he's saying something to her, giving a suggestion, she in there cooking some eggs, and he's like, "Girl, you got the flame up too high." She'd be like, "I know what I'm doing," and that's not what he's doing. He's not trying to tell you how to make eggs. He's just letting you know that the flame is up too high. That's it. And so now she's kind of understanding that, and she's kind of relaxing, into that whole situation. And Dr. Pepper asked them if they had told each other they love each other yet, and they said no. And I thought she was good with this, and she said that, when you look 10 years, you're 10 years ahead, and then when you're looking back, you're going to be able to look at these moments, and you're going to know that you actually in love with each other, and that the love that you have 10 years ahead is going to be completely different than the love that you're experiencing, right now. So it's not something that you should, if you're there, then it's something to not run away from. You can embrace it, because it's just where you are. It's not the end of what love is going to grow into. It's just you're recognizing that love is budding, between us, and these are the feelings, that we're having, for each other. So I thought that was really good on this episode, because Miguel and Lindy are like the best couple right now. The challenge that was for them is they got a baby. They got like I don't even know what you call it, but it's like a doll, but it's like a smart baby. So it cries. They have it. I don't know if it's remote, or if it's on a timer. Like on day 3, we're gonna ramp up the crying from every 3 hours to every 2 hours to every 1 hour. But Lindy was like, that baby will wake them up, and then they have this legend that they look at. So if it's crying, then they have to try these different things to see if they can get it to stop crying. And so you can feed it, I guess you can burp it, you can rock it. So there are different stages that it's in, that you have to figure out which one it is to get the baby, to stop crying. So it kind of seemed like Miguel was keeping the baby more than she was. But she said that she helped, like, if the baby was crying during the night, so he took one night, and then she took, another night. So he didn't seem to have a problem with, any equity as to who was taking more care of the baby versus the other one. But he did say that, he really he really anticipates the day, that he gets to, have a baby. And Lindy was like, yeah, no, we're going to be on birth control. I thought that was interesting that they were on this kind of opposite. So it'd be really, I like to know if we're going to get a chance, to hear that conversation. So, yeah, that's it. That's all I got for them. So I'm going to do Alexis and Jordan, and then Alexis and Justin, and I think Ben and Morgan, and then Kristen and Mitch, because Ben and Morgan is short, and Alexis and Justin is long. So with Dr. Pepper, I remember Alexis. This episode 11, it was really good, because when you listened to them and their experiences, it kind of helped you kind of understand why they are the way that they are. Like with Alexis, You know, she was playing basketball since she was a teenager. So that's one of the reasons why she is a tomboy, but then she's not at the same time. She can still be a girly girl, but then she can also go out there and play basketball, with the fellas if she need to at the same time. So she has that dexterity, about her. And I understood it because like I said, I was in the army. So there's a dexterity, that goes, there as well. And she said that she never saw her mother cry. So that really, and I know this must be freaking her out to see Justin crying all the time when her own mama didn't even cry. I mean, she's not saying that her mother didn't cry. She's saying she didn't see it. So the fact that she now has a husband that can't sit through a conversation without crying must be really mentally, it's a shift, that I don't know if she's able to keep up. So it's like with centrifugal force, like the G force, it can become dangerous for astronauts when they're in that machine, being spun around, because your brain is sitting in some liquid. And with that kind of force, it can actually, it can redistribute, your brain mass, and yeah, it can be dangerous. I mean, you can have a stroke or whatever, in there. It's bad. So, they have to really be careful in the training and what they're doing. And so that's kind of the shift in the brain matter that I see happening with Alexis. She's like, this is just not what I thought I was gonna get, from a dude that's got more testosterone, than I do. And she said she doesn't, cry like that. I think she's more emotional than like her sisters and mother, because she's like the baby. And, growing up in a certain era where things are encouraged, I think she's probably more into her feelings, than, like I said, them. But she keeps it pretty close, to the vest as well. Because I remember one time she said on the after show, she was like, yeah, we both can't be sitting up crying. So, that actually made, some sense. And Justin, when Dr. Pepper came, had a thing with Maya that the pound that he took him up to called him and said that she still, has aggression, and that he wouldn't recommend that Justin bring her back, to the house. And I just didn't understand why it was just so hard. Justin is in San Diego. Cesar Millan is up in Los Angeles. He really could have just drove that dog. He could have made it a point. He could have got married at first sight to make an appointment with Cesar Millan and had taken that dog up there and had a professional. I mean, I've seen Cesar Millan work with some crazy, dogs. You're like, there's no way in the world he's going to be able to do it. And he, he just makes me a believer. Every time I'm like, okay. So, yeah, I feel sorry that Justin, didn't have that kind of guidance, from the show. But come to listen to what he's in this conversation, with Alexis, he's asking her if the situation were reversed, then would she have given up, her dog? And the way he's asking her, I don't think that he thinks that she would have done that. But then Rudy asked her on the after show, would she have done it? And she said, yeah. I mean, because her mother has taken care of the dog before. So she just would have let her mom, take care of it. Which I was, wondering with Justin, did he not have anybody that he could have left, the dog with? So that was a question, for me. But thinking about it, Alexis said on the after show that Justin doesn't have any friends in San Diego. So she is his only friend, which is ridiculous. That, you can't, if you don't want friends, that's fine. But just because you don't want friends doesn't mean that your wife doesn't have any, doesn't get to have any. And I think that that is just, that doesn't even make any sense to expect that from somebody. So just, but it's not like we back in the 1800s, where you need the wagon to go to town and y'all jokers are stuck out here, unless you're going into town or whatever. We're not living in those kind of times, Justin. So you're either going to have to go and find your own interests. You're going to have to go with your wife when she goes out with her friends. Or you're going to have to figure out something for you and your wife to go and do together that's going to make her have fun. And so Alexis is like, I want the relationship that I had on the honeymoon. She did say this again. And I understand that they're just talking past each other. A lot of people blaming her. They say, oh, she don't want Justin, this, that, and the third. Really, not holding him to account for his lack of manliness, especially with a woman that know how to ball like Alexis. I mean, this girl, do you know the kind of man that I'm sure that she done ran into? And I'm sure that's the kind of man that she thought she was going to get married to. Not him. Not him. So there are just a lot of deficits. And then when things don't go well for him, like with the dog, biting Newton, it was like he was defeated. He was already defeated when he really should have just been, he should have still been in the fight. And that's what she's going to want to see. She's not going to want to see a weak, passive man that is looking to his wife to be the one to say whether or not they're going to be able to stay in a relationship. And then now he's saying, well, I'm a catch, too. Are you, Justin? Well, I was going to make her my beneficiary. She probably doesn't need to be your beneficiary. She probably has good, life insurance, on her own. But it's nice that you would do that. I mean, it's nice. But it's not like something that she probably can't do, for herself at this point, And it's just, it's desperate. It gives a scent of being desperate for her time and attention. He wants her to be able to want to give it to him. And he can do things to fix that. But in his mind, the way to make that happen is to tell her that she can't do this. And to make her feel guilty because, oh, well, you're my wife now, you married, you that and that and that. And that's not working. So, and I think, like I said, he could do. So, I don't know. Let me see what some other things that I have. She said, he said that he doesn't feel like she understands him. And like, I mean, I can kind of get that because they talk, I don't think they're listening to each other. He's saying that he keeps saying the same thing over and over again. She's saying that she keeps saying the same thing over and over again. And there's no connectivity on certain subjects that, like the going out, they keep butting heads. And it's fixable if Justin would just breathe and relax and come up with some other stuff. This is fixable. It could, but like she did say, she invited him to go out with her. And so that was her, offering. She wasn't just leaving him in the house. She was like, well, do you want to go? Come on, let's hang out. Let's go and do, this. And he's like, I don't want to go home. Nobody wants to hear that. If you're going out to have a good time, you either go have a good time or you just get up and go home. She's not going to go home with you. She's going to say, bye, I'll see you at the house, probably in an hour or some change. She's not going to go home with you, Justin. So it's like, it doesn't even make any sense. I mean, he continues to cause these problems because of his defeatism. And he has admitted that he gets into his own head. And this is the consequences of you doing that. He doesn't have any It's like she brought up, before. He needs to have some kind of self regulation about himself. And he doesn't. And I've been there. I've been there. I know where he is. And it's a bad place. And by the time he gets away from that, he's going to look back and realize, man, wow, if I could have just taken 5 more minutes, and not have, been so whiny, I didn't have to take off my ring. I could have just sat there in that moment and just let it be. But no, he had to just get up and be in his feelings and take off the ring. That is not sexy. It's not hot. It gets on your nerves. And it just didn't even make any sense. So he said he feels like he's number two between the friends and the dog. Yeah, that's his fault. That's your fault, Justin, that you feel that way. She love that dog just like you love your dog. And the only reason why you can't have your dog in the house is because your dog has aggression issues. That's nobody's fault. I mean, it's just the way life is. I done told you how you can fix that too, and you ain't got time to try to hear me on that one either. So I don't know what you're gonna do, Justin. It's just ridiculous. There are solutions out here. You just need to get. And this is the thing too. Like he was saying that his brother would tell him to figure it out. Figure it out. I'm like, well, if you good at figuring stuff out, how come you can't figure this out? This doesn't even make it. Okay. So what did they do? She gave them assignments. So she, who was this? Alexis tried to do the stripper pole. Child, Alexis too big for that stripper pole. If she had stayed on that thing, she'd have pulled it out of the, because it was clamped between the ceiling and the floor, and she's just too big for that pole. But she tried. Justin is seemed, really excited about it because I don't think he felt like she thought about being excited about it. It's not like the clothes that she had on. She didn't have no sexy clothes on. She didn't have the strobe light. She could have kind of plumped it up, let him know, hey man, when we get through, we finna take this, over here and see if we can get it popping and cracking. Yeah, so I don't think he felt anything coming out of her, so it's kind of hard for him. But he did give encouragement though, so I noted that. And they did the blindfold game. And I can't remember what is it that he said to her. Let me write here that I need to clip that so you can see it. But they did the blindfold game, and the answer that Justin gave to her hurt her feelings. And I could see it. She did a good job at trying to hide it. She's really good at that. She's good. But it hurt her feelings. And so when it came time for her to put the blindfold on, she gave some basic, responses. And then when they talked to her off camera, well, not off camera, but out of the scene, onto, the camera by herself, she said that her idea was to just give him the opportunity to express himself in a safe place. And then she felt like if she had come back with something, that it would have put him in a bad place. And what she would have said is what she has already been saying anyway. So she just didn't feel the need to repeat it and then, cause him to be in a bad place. She let him express himself. He felt good about being able to do that. So she just left it, where it was. And, I understood, that. And then on the after show, they were on her because they was like, girl, you sound dry. You sound like you getting ready to pack your stuff up, right after y'all finished, this conversation. And she said that if she had something different to say to him that she thought would make the situation better, then she would have said it. So I actually could respect that, too. So let me see. Let's go through this list. She said that she doesn't feel that he has her back. She said she struggled with intimacy. I actually thought that it was Justin. The way she was saying it on the after show, I actually thought it was Justin, but she said it was her. And I think that's really frustrating him because, he had his opportunity during the honeymoon. And I think he's mad at himself because he didn't take it. So now he can't get it twisted around so that she wants to be with him like she wanted to be with him during the honeymoon. So I don't know what to say for you, cousin. I feel bad for you, Justin. She said that she thinks he's doing the best he can. And let me see. I said that, yeah, he was mad about giving up Maya and didn't think that she'd do the same thing with her dog. He said that he's still in love with her, but he's cautious. And in episode 11, they were sharing. Again, like I told you about the never saw the mother cry. But he was saying that his dad was in and out of his life, so it really wasn't a factor for him. And his brother was like on one side telling him not to, I guess I could hear his brother telling him not to be a crybaby. But then his mother would tell him that it's okay for him to express himself. So he said he felt caught, between them. And he said he felt like if people don't think that his level of crying makes him manly, then tough shit. And I understand why he would think that it'd be okay for him to say that, but he has a goal. He wants a wife. No woman, even if she's a mouse, wants a man that's a mouse and that cries more than she does. I just can't see that. And I was a crier, but I'm a woman. I don't want a man that cries more than me. I actually don't. So I don't know, Justin. I don't know what is in the cards, for you as far as getting married. If you're not, willing to kind of learn how to do some self-regulation. It's very important. She actually was right, when she gave you that, advice. So, yeah, I told you, he said his brother told him, to figure it out. Yeah, but I'm not seeing that skill in these situations. She doesn't feel like her action. Oh, yeah. So he said that he doesn't feel like her actions and her words match. And that kind of takes me back to that dinner where she didn't know that he was looking at her facial expressions. And so he asked her what was going on, and then she was trying to act like nothing was going on, but he had already seen it. So I'm sure he's seen other instances, that she does that. And like I just said, I saw it after that blindfold exercise. I saw that what he said was hurtful. And she didn't express that. She kind of made it seem like, it was okay when it really, honestly, it wasn't. So, and Justin ended up out in San Diego because his brother, he was going out of stuff, so fast, and his mother couldn't afford to keep him, clothed and fed. So his brother stepped in and he ended up moving out, out there, with his brother. So look at Ben and Morgan about Dr. Pia. She asked them, she asked Ben why not fight, for the relationship. And then she asked both of them if they thought that they could heal. And so when Morgan was explaining what Ben was doing, let me see, I'm going to put a clip on this one too, so you can see it for yourself. The stuff that she said that he was doing. He was going behind her back, telling people, one thing, and, saying something else, to her, and he was being vindictive. So the doctor asked him about the vindictiveness, and he was like, what do you mean by vindictive? And he's an engineer. So Ben, he is, wow. A lot of people are mad that Morgan they said that she's demanding an apology from Ben. I think she feels she deserves an apology from Ben because Ben has done things that he needs to apologize for. So for me, if somebody comes and gives me an apology, what you're going to have to do is tell me what you're apologizing to me for. Because if you can't do that, then I'm not going to be able to accept your apology, because I'm not going to just take an apology from somebody just because you want to say that you're sorry. Why are you telling me that you're sorry? So for Morgan, her level of feedback loop that lets her know that Ben is sorry. She's saying that she wants to see it. She wants to see him say it with his chest. She wants to see and hear him say, "I'm sorry," with his entire chest. And he doesn't have the capacity to do that. And you'll see that in this clip. And so I think she deserves an apology. And I think that Ben needs to figure out how to give her one. Because if he wants to have a wife in the future, this is something he's going to have to learn how to do. And I don't know. You know, I don't know. He says that he runs away from things. And he is confused about how he's going to repair this relationship with her, where he doesn't know what action he needs to take to be repentant about the trouble and the mess, that he's caused, which is really sad, to me. One of the things that I saw in the other episode was when Ben was reading his letter to his younger self. Morgan came over to listen, and then when he finished, she told him that she didn't feel comfortable, sharing anything with him, because she was just going to go back and tell everybody. But I'm thinking, but y'all read it on national TV. So that was Morgan being passive aggressive. That was her wanting to lash out at Ben and make him feel, like shit because of what he done. But she was being ridiculous because, like I said, I mean, you're not going to be giving it to him in confidence. You're going to be saying this on national television just like he just read his on television. So I thought that was kind of crazy. And when they were talking with Dr. Pepper, she was trying to explain to him that when he goes outside of his marriage to talk to people about things that he needs to discuss with his wife, you leave her in the dark. So you're not communicating to her, letting her know that this is something, that you're feeling and that she needs to work on. And then now she hears it from somebody else who she's not married to. And then she's like, well, why are you over here having, this conversation? Then she gave a good example that she'd ask him, well, how'd your conversation, with Justin, go today? And so instead of him at that moment, she's giving you an opportunity to fess up. So if you done told him something, then she mirror it. So if you're going to tell him, then tell her that you told him. And, work it, that way. She said that if he had done that, he would have got a different, response, from her. And I think she repeated that she should have been able to help him, have a safe space to communicate, himself. And Ben, as an adult, this is part of being an adult. When you have a problem, with someone, it's always better to try and figure out a way to language it to the person that you have a problem with. That's just best practice. I think that that's going to get you closer to the result that you would be looking for than to take this action and just craziness. So, last couple, thank the Lord, Kristen and Mitch. So, in 11, I thought that they did okay. Christian took him to baseball. I didn't think either one of them played baseball or softball very well, but she told him that her dad was really rough and tough, on her after practice. Like, you missed this, you did that, and you didn't do this. So it was like really pressure, a lot of pressure for her to do well. And she got that from her mom as well. And so she feels like she's like this rule follower. And Mitch was like, yeah, I didn't have that. I was very unstructured. So he calls himself a latchkey kid, where he was, had the key to the house. Nobody was there. I think he said that his dad raised him from a certain age. He started raising him from a certain age. And then his dad wasn't home. So he had all kinds of free time to do, all kinds of different things. And Christian wasn't like that. Her life was very structured, and she said, and then he was saying that when the the picture that they were looking at in his face, that was the day that his parents told him that they were separating or getting a divorce. And so from that moment, he had like anger in him and he would act out. And so just some of the conversation, that she was having, with him, she said it really helped her understand why he would do some of the things that he would do. And she wished she had known this because it would have helped her have been less judgmental, of him. And the letter that he read to himself, that was like the last scene of the show for that episode. And I thought it was really, really good. The thing I like about Mitch is that he is very self-reflective. Once he gets an idea or an understanding about himself from, like, if she's saying to him, okay, Mitch, you're being a little bit too environmental. You got, what do they call it? Mitchisms. Yeah, so say this is a Mitchism. So he's able to kind of look at it and say, oh, okay, yeah, I can see, why you would say that that's a Mitchism. And then be able to kind of pull back and move in a different, direction. I actually am starting to appreciate, that about him. So I'm trying to remember with Dr. Pepper, what they talk about with Dr. Pepper. Oh, this was Christian starting to show us who Christian is. So, honeymoon Christian, when Mitch told Christian that he wasn't attracted to her, that did something to her. And it kind of put her in a position where she felt like she had to kind of, she wasn't being herself. Let me put it that way. And at a certain point, she's getting mad because she's put all this energy into this relationship, and this man, Mitch is just being Mitch. He's not taking himself through the same gyrations that she decided to take herself through in order to try to make this work. So now I think she's kind of going in the other direction, which really makes me, sad, for her, because you have to be who you are. You can't start switching stuff up, So if you're patient and understanding with his communication at the beginning, you're going to have to be that in the middle, and you're going to have to be that at the end. Otherwise, then you're being disingenuous. So you call Mitch whatever you want to call him. He's not being disingenuous. And some of the behaviors that I'm seeing coming out of Christian, it's just like this the word that is popping, up for me, with her. And so with Dr. Pia, she gave them a card, and Mitch read off of it, and he gave his answer about, the hero. He said that comics, he was into comic heroes, and then what he would do is that he would go and write a similar story, but he was the hero. And so Dr. Pia, picked up on that. She was like, oh, you want to be able to take care of women and be protective. And he's like, yeah, when I was a kid, because that was the question. The question was, what was your childhood, hero? And then she was like, but what about you, Christian? And these are two clips that I actually put up. So you get to see whether my interpretation is what you see on the clip. And so she asked Christian, and she said to her mom, and she said her mom, had to raise 2 kids by herself. She was a Cuban immigrant, and it was tough going, but now her mom is successful. I think she called her a badass. She, is financially successful, and she's, I guess successful within herself, because her mom looks pretty confident, and fine, with who she is. So, Mitch was like, he said something. I can't remember what it was. He said that he wasn't challenging her. He said, "I'm not challenging you, but I just want." He was asking for clarification. He said, "Was your mom your childhood hero, or is she your hero now?" Because the question was about your childhood hero, and she actually got offended, at that, and she was like, "Yeah." And he was saying that he had asked her that because she brought it up to present tense. See, he left his childhood heroes in his childhood. He didn't bring them into the present, with him. So it was a little bit confusing, and he wanted to get some clarification. And the look on her face, I was like, girl, he's just asking you a question. Now, see, when she was honeymoon Christian, she wouldn't have done that because she wanted to be pleasing to Mitch. And she wanted, to be accommodating, to Mitch. But now that she got off of that, now she's rolling her eyes at Mitch. I mean, doing a hard roll. I mean, just the attitude. And then they had just said earlier, like he was saying, yeah, I trust her. I think, that she has my back. I don't think that's having his back. And then on the next scene, and I didn't clip this one out, but she was saying that it took a lot for her to share that about her mother. And I don't believe that. I actually don't, Christian. It didn't take a lot for you to share that. It may have been an important thing that you shared, but it did not take a lot for you to share that. And now she's crying. And I just didn't get the tears. I didn't get it. And Mitch is like, oh, yeah, well, that's me being stupid again. No, Mitch, it wasn't you being stupid again. It was you asking her a question. And she took it. She decided to take offense at the question instead of just taking it as a question. She was like, well, you don't question anybody's heroes. I mean, you tell them, oh, that's a good story, or, this, that, and the third, and you just can't do that. I'm like, girl, I am not doing this with you today. I ain't doing this with you today. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I mean, Mitch is, when I need to say what I need to say about Mitch, I'll do that. Either way, good or bad. And I just didn't see it. So, she asked them about their current, intimacy. And Mitch and her said that he was being too much in the bedroom. And it wasn't something that it went across Christian's ears the wrong way, and it took her out of the mood, and she felt like it was a space that they kind of needed to put between them to kind of reconnect on another level, and then maybe, come back to that level, of activity with each other. So Mitch called his friend, which I thought was really good. I thought that she gave him some good advice, Excuse me. She said, think about it from her perspective, and try to engage or, figure out the right kind of play, that you can have. And then the exercises that Dr. Pia, gave them, they had the blindfold and they were doing touching without talking. And see, Christian couldn't even do that either. I mean, you weren't supposed to talk. And she talked. And it was annoying, for me, really, because she's just so dogmatic about what Mitch isn't doing and how Mitch isn't, and Mitch and Mitch and Mitch and Mitch. And you've got some deficits going on, with you too, Christian. That should have been an exercise that you should have been able to do without talking. Especially since you wanted to say that you follow the rules all the time. Just saying. So another exercise, they were at the beach, and they had all these questions that they had to ask each other, and one of them was favorite sex positions, and I'm not going to go through that. And another one was, what is your favorite position to be held? And so they did that, on the beach. And one of the questions, I think, well, what was the most challenging thing that you'd ever gone through? And Mitch shared a story. They had tried to start this sun lotion company that wasn't using plastic. I guess he wanted to have it in glass, and it didn't work out. So he said that it was something that kind of set him back, but it ultimately ended up leading him, to the environmentalism that, he's doing, today. So I thought that was cool, good story. Okay. Yeah, so I have here exploring bodies without words or jokes. So they weren't supposed to be laughing, not supposed to be joking, and they weren't supposed to be talking. And Christian did all that. Child, I got down here, Christian didn't make it. Yes. So, I talked about the friend, think about it from her perspective. Try to find the right kind of play, and then I think I missed show her that she's desired. So that's all I got right now. Oh, I wanted to share one thing I heard him say on the after show. He said that it's encouraging for him to continue to do the level of improvements, because the more that he shows up for her, the more she likes him, and the more she likes being around him, and that whole wheel, of good energy, is between them. So, okay. Sorry, I did 2 episodes in one, so please, again, be patient with me. We'll be back on regular schedule as far as I know. And I appreciate feedback. And see you guys later until the next video.